FY24.
We had to take action in terms of the escalating input costs that we were seeing at every point in time. We had to deal with inflation, we had to deal with the impact of FX in our operations. And so what we could do, right, was to mitigate to some extent that increasing cost. We couldn't cover the increasing cost with the price increases that we took in 2024. We took price increases, as you are all aware, but it was just to mitigate it. Because you look at that graph you are seeing in the middle there, you could see that Nigeria today, we have the lowest selling beer in the world, even versus every other country you can see there in Africa. We're not even talking of Europe, we're not talking of America, right? You can see where we are down there. We're looking at Zambia and all the other countries. You may not be able to see them, Lesotho, Burundi, and all. Beer in Nigeria is the cheapest. We're not talking of Europe. So yes, we took price increases, but it was still not enough. Yes, it is what it is, right? It's the operating environment, and we also need to be careful, because the other thing we also did was to look at affordability. Yes, Nigerian breweries, we have lots of portfolios, we have lots of brands in our portfolio, different SKUs and all, but at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that your consumers are able to afford your products. So we play at different price segments, and so we then had to introduce a lower price malt reintroduced, because it's been in this market before. We took it off and then we brought it back, high malt. Then we also had to introduce 45 cl bottle for life, and then our brand, which we got when we had the merger with Consolidated Breweries more. Again, we refined that brand, and today 100% sorghum beer that is affordable.
I tell you, one of the reasons why I've stayed in this company this long and I continue to enjoy it is largely because innovation is at the core of everything we do. It's in our DNA. And so we continue to innovate despite the turbulence, despite the challenges. You continue to see really great innovations coming out from Nigerian Breweries PLC. And for this, I'm super proud. I tell you, we do this largely because we have arguably one of the best supply chain department units anywhere on the planet. And later on, you'll hear from our supply chain director, Mr. Federico. But our innovations have not only been about taste, they've also been about pack price. This is largely because of the economic challenges, as you all know it. And so we've had to introduce packaging that really plays at a price point that can address the affordability needs and challenges out there. And I think the MD spoke about it. For me, quite exciting. One of the most, I think one of the most interesting thing Nigerian Breweries has done in almost forever is now this portfolio of distilled brands. And we'll speak a bit about them later on.
We are driving the democratization of technology across the company. We are doing this by looking outwards, looking inwards, drawing strength from our connection to Heineken, access to global tools and technology, and distilling that into what we need as an organization to triumph in our environment. What you see on the slide is a list of innovations that have been co-created with our colleagues across various functions, building on 5 pillars. The first of which is the route to consumer. So what Emmanuel mentioned, that we have a platform, an e-commerce platform. We were actually the first beverage organization in this country to have this e-commerce platform where we interact directly with other businesses. We also have focused on our distributors, supporting them to future fit their businesses along with us, what we call the distributor management system. And last year we gave it a boost, what we call the value booster. And with this, our distributors are more than empowered to move along with us at the pace at which we are moving.
So our objective is to raise the bar, no pun intended, but we want to raise the bar on 3 aspects: climate action, ensuring that we accelerate our social sustainability agenda through community impact, because we recognize that we cannot operate in a vacuum. It's so important that we ensure that even starting from the communities, the host communities of our breweries, that we are making a positive impact. And then finally, with the sense of responsibility that we are a producer of an alcoholic beverage, we also have a raft of programs committed to addressing any harmful use of alcohol. Now, this comes under 3 pillars, and I will be talking about 2 of them that are very close to my heart. You can see that we've put up some numbers, and we put up these numbers because we know at the end of the day, business is a game of numbers, and we have to measure ourselves. We know that we are going to be assessed, we are going to be measured, so we want to make it easy for our public, our stakeholders to do that. Under the social pillar, we have a variety of programs that are skewed on ensuring that we have that positive impact. We have invested 168 million in 2024 on 2 key projects. Waboy spoke earlier about our business recovery plan, which required us to have to put into temporary suspension 2 of our breweries, and we recognized that we needed to have a soft landing for the communities in these locations. So we invested in a skills acquisition center in the Kakuri community, and then a cassava milling plant that we have established in the Awomama community. Both these projects are going to be commissioned this year, within the next quarter. Thank you.
The outlook for 2025, the famous crystal ball. And jokingly, we always said the crystal ball for the country of Nigeria is very hard, right? Predictability, even when you look ahead a couple of weeks or a few months, is quite hard. But I guess in the meantime, and we've seen late last night, and also the effect or the impact of what the US, what President Trump has actioned in terms of import tariffs. And I'm sure you've seen some snippets also what that impact is on Nigeria. Exports 14%, import tariff plus 10%. In other words, volatility will continue, and we're in a world that we have always believed is very connected. And it is also clear that Nigeria as a country imports very significant quantities, so there will be impact obviously on the actions taken by the US, including what are the responses when we look at the stock markets, the international stock markets. We see huge losses this morning. US markets are not opened yet. It was announced post-market in the US, but you see in Asia and in Europe, there's huge impact. I'm speaking to this because this will add a next chapter to the persisting uncertainties that are not part of this slide. In this slide, we are talking about seeing some stability in Nigeria proper. So without what's happening on the planet, what is happening in the US with the change of president, when you just zoom in to Nigeria, we do see, and I mentioned CBN and the currency, which is more stable, inflation, and yes, inflation and the way it is calculated is up for a bit of discussion, but looks to be a bit better. Interest rates that will potentially follow, leading to more stability in Nigeria. That was the outlook, still is the outlook. I guess we've seen in the first few months of the year some continuation from a very strong Q4, but also now in the month of March that we just concluded, we start to see again impact of cost of living, so affordability again really kicking in proper. So it is very hard to make predictions. The one thing we can say without redoing our strategy is that Nigerian breweries has a true and a real right to win.